Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jano Lieber, Chair and CEO of the MTA, and here with Long Island Railroad Interim President Kathy Rinaldi, who also runs Metro North. She is the railroad queen of the New York region, and we so appreciate her. And Acting Chief Customer Officer Shanifa Riera, who deals with all of our customer issues. Thank you for everything you do. But I also have to acknowledge a lot of important folks who are joining us. My chairman, Senator Leroy Comrie. Where are you, Senator? Also joined by Senator James Sanders, a Rockaway fighter, if there ever was one. City Council Transportation Chair. She is the lady in the City Council who takes leadership on transportation issues. Selvina Brooks Powers, thank you for being here. Assembly members, the assembly members who help to make sure that the MTA can keep running first-class service frequently, notwithstanding the budget challenges, and they did a lot. Assembly member Stacy Pfeffer Amato and the Rockaway Assembly member Khalil Anderson. Thank you both so much for being here. And Borough President Donovan Richards is represented by his deputy, Ebony Young. Thank you for being here, Deputy Bureau President. Listen, and behind us are some folks who joined us, who are kids who are from this neighborhood and who are here to talk to me about their transportation challenges. We hope what we're talking about today is going to be a benefit to them. Listen, we are joining forces to celebrate a long-awaited convenience for Far Rockaway riders. It is their own version of the city ticket, which discounts Long Island Railroad service dramatically within the city. Far Rockaway riders were among the winners from the new Grand Central Madison service. They have more direct service to Manhattan. Now they're going to get another big win with a special ticket made just for them that, like the original city ticket, will cost $5 in the off-peak hours and $7 in the peak. Those prices, more than a subway, but they are about half what it used to be for people to ride the Long Island Railroad from Far Rock to the center of the city, and we are thrilled that we finally got here. It has been a long time coming, and it was the product of some pretty complicated high-tech engineering by MTA staff. The challenge was that Far Rock service runs through Long Island, which are areas that are not eligible for this special discount. We had to figure out how to do it technologically. But one of the main reasons we're here is that the elected officials who represent Far Rockaway were relentless in telling the MTA that Far Rockaway needed to have the same benefit as the rest of the city. And I want to thank them, all of them, for their passionate engagement. Also got a shout out to the advocates who are here represented by the Greif family, mother and son. Thank you both for being here. The Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee is one of the principal advocacy organizations, and they show up every day to press the MTA on behalf of riders. New York is blessed to have the most passionate ecosystem of advocates. It's one of the reasons that in New York, unlike in so many other American cities, transit gets prioritized. The coalition that you represent is super high impact, super well informed. And let's not forget, none of this would be possible unless we had Governor Hochul's leadership, together with the legislature, that made sure that even though ridership has gone down since the pandemic, that we had enough money not only to run the same level of service, but more service. Does anybody understand the Long Island Railroad today is running 40% more service than it ran in 2022? It's not without its complexities, because we're changing a lot of things, but more service is really what it's all about. So before I finish, I want to thank Kathy Rinaldi and the entire Long Island Railroad team who worked tirelessly to make this special discounted ticket for Far Rock happen. Thank you, Kathy. And with that, let me turn it over to the lady of the moment, Kathy Rinaldi.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Jano. This is something that we have wanted to do for such a long time, but as Jano mentioned, we needed to wait for the technology to be able to catch up. Jano had mentioned that Far Rockaway is unique in the Long Island Railroad system because you start in the city, you pass through some Nassau County stations, and then you go back into the city. So we needed to be creative and thoughtful in how to make the city ticket benefit available to our Far Rockaway customers. And now we're here today to celebrate that we're finally able to do it. The Far Rockaway ticket will be sold only at the Far Rockaway station. Customers can use their train time app, but they're going to have to share their location with the app to confirm that they're nearby the station. For those who want to take advantage of the discount on their return trip, they're going to have to purchase a round-trip ticket at Far Rockaway on the same day. As Jano mentioned, this new capability, this new ticket could not have come at a better time. Thanks to the opening of Grand Central Madison back in February, Long Island Railroad is running a lot more service than it ever did before in Southeast Queens, and we're thrilled about that. And come September, with our new schedule change, we're going to be restoring 4 morning trains with direct service from Far Rockaway to Atlantic Terminal in Brooklyn, as we continue to fine-tune our schedules to be able to respond to community input and the ridership data that we continue to collect. I want to echo Jano's thanks for the entire team, the IT team, the entire Long Island Railroad workforce for everything they've done to bring us to this moment here today and for everything they do to keep the railroad safe. With that, I'll turn things over to our Acting Chief Customer Officer, Shanifa Riera.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Today's announcement is part of a broader expansion of the city ticket, which the chairman and Kathy, President Rinaldi mentioned. This means that every customer from the Long Island Railroad, a Metro North station within the 5 boroughs, can pay a discounted rate at any day or time of the week. But we first should take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we're standing here 20 years after City Ticket was introduced. This chair, Jano Lieber, listened to the community's concerns, listened to the advocates' concerns, listened to the elected officials' concerns, and pushed the team day in and day out. I know I was part of many of those conversations to figure out how we can do right by Far Rockaway. This is a true example of transit equity for Queens and New York City. We know that transit is important to access amazing opportunities such as education, jobs, healthcare. Far Rockaway riders deserve the same access of affordability that the rest of New Yorkers have always enjoyed. So we are thrilled today to be part of this announcement and bring this opportunity to the Far Rockaway customers. With that being said, I would like to introduce Councilmember Brooks Powers.
Thank you so much. And just want to take a moment to acknowledge Chair Jano Lieber, who has been a partner and a friend since I've been appointed chair for the City Council's Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, as well as President Rinaldi. It's a pleasure to see you here today, as well as all of my colleagues across Southeast Queens who has been championing the transportation equity that's needed across our district for quite some time now. And so I'm really excited to be here with the MTA today to celebrate the extension of the city ticket to Far Rockaway. Southeast Queens has long been neglected by our public transit system. The journey to Manhattan can take hours to those traveling from the Rockaways, and the Long Island Railroad can save precious time for community members that rely on commuter rail to get to where they need to go. But Rockaway residents haven't had access to the discounted Long Island Railroad ticket available to all other New Yorkers for trips within the city. Today's announcement comes after years of advocacy by Southeast Queens elected officials and members of this community, who have for way too long been forced to overpay for rides off of the peninsula. I want to extend my sincere thanks to the MTA for their work to extend the discount to the Rockaways. I know that this line presented unique challenges, but it is important for the community to get this done. I recognize it is a pilot, and we look forward to working with the MTA and the community to build upon and improve the program. It is particularly important to see this take place as City Ticket expands, offering so many New Yorkers who rely on commuter rail a more affordable means of getting to places across the city. And as chair of the Council's Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, I have worked extremely hard on centering equity. This is a victory for transportation equity today. It represents a step towards a fairer, more affordable public transit system in New York City. So thank you.
Okay, Senator Comrie. We're surprising. Senator Comrie will be followed by Senator Sanders and the Assemblymember Pfeffer Amato and Assemblymember Anderson, as well as the Deputy Borough President.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Leroy Comrie. I'm honored to be State Senator for the 14th Senate District and also honored to be Chair of the Committee on Corporations, Authorities, and Commissions. And in that capacity, I have oversight over the MTA and the Port Authority. And since I've been Chair, since I've been actually on the committee, one of the first things I talked to about Janet Lieber about and to the MTA was about getting equity for Far Rockaways, because I had my colleague Senator Sanders and Audrey Pfeffer in one ear, and my other colleague, so Brooks Powers and Khalil Anderson in my other ear, saying we need to make sure that this happens. So, and also my Senator Joe Adabo, who couldn't be here today as well, is always fighting to make sure that we have transit equity in the peninsula so that we can do it, whether it's making sure that we keep the reductions for the bridge, making sure that we have opportunities to improve service on bus service, and now we have the city ticket finally here at the Rockaway station. We've been pushing hard to make that happen. Now our next goal is, because we had sent a letter saying we wanted the 116 to be the free ride, the next goal is the Q113 to be the free ride. We're going to work hard to make that happen. But I really want to thank first the governor, Janet Lieber, President Rinaldi, who's doing an excellent job running this, and the interim title needs to go away from her name. That's my opinion, but I'll just put that out there because she's been doing it for a while and doing it well. That, you know, we have now the highest level of collaboration, the highest level of conversation, and the highest level of determination to make corrections to the system. So I want to thank them for their patience and understanding. Again, I want to thank my colleagues in government and the advocates who are also consistently informing us about transit improvements today. And I also want to thank the young people that were interning with Queens Defenders today for speaking up. And it's the first time that you're speaking up. Do not be afraid to express yourself, because it's only through, this took how long to do? 20 years to do?
But we're not counting.
20, well, we're not, but thanks to you, nothing else will take 20 years to do. So we'll go from there. So thank you all. I'm proud to be here as part of this effort. I'm proud to continue to work with my colleagues in government to continue to make sure that we have more improvements to the MTA system so that we can have transit equity for Queens, and that the entire system can be even more customer friendly so that we can have more people riding transit and less people in cars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Comrie. I'm Senator Sanders. I want to thank all of my elected colleagues. I want to thank the chair and the president for this. But I would be remiss if I did not speak of the difficulty of 20 years, the difficulty of 20 years. This is, of course, no reflection on your governance. This is a reflection on how the Rockaways is treated. That it has taken 20 years. Now, when this started 20 years ago, I offered the Long Island Railroad, MTA, and I said, well, we'll just change the name. Rockaways is part of the city. Quit calling it city tickets if we're not part of the city. And that was not seen. We offered several ways that it could have been done. And of course, you have to remember that this is not the richest community out there. And that meant that thousands of people who could not afford it paid extra that the other people in the city certainly did not do. I am glad that after 20 years of fighting, we are finally here. It is and here at a good reason, right? We are surrounded practically by the growth of the Rockaways. You can't help but see what's coming at us. Our public transportation, the A train, is overwhelmed now. When these people move in, they will need the Long Island Railroad more than ever before. I urge all of us to give thought to what are we going to do The MTA is doing some amazing things, and the Long Island Railroad, increasing the amount of service. Consider when these people move in, these buildings right now are empty. When these people move in, that poor train, the A train, which is swamped now, is going to be out of control. We are also speaking to the city about the need for a ferry out here, a ferry that has a stop in the Rockaways. I again want to applaud all of us and applaud the young people and tell them that, look, you may not win immediately, but you should never give up. We're here because we never gave up. And we finally found some administrators who have an ear for the community and said that they would see this thing through. I commend all of the people of the Rockaways who just never gave up and stayed on their leaders until this day happened. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Stacey Pfeffer Amato. I'm the New York State Assemblywoman, one of the Assembly members that represent the Far Rockaway community. What I could say is 20 years ago when I was not gray, I was not an Assemblywoman, but I was a person trying to get to work in Brooklyn. And it is, you know, it was quite difficult to get to Brooklyn from Rockaway, but it was very expensive if the choice was the Long Island Railroad. So this is the culmination of all of our work as people who myself grew up here, are elected who have been all part of this, coming together, but absolutely having our needs heard. And for the next generation, you never stop going. What I love that I've been hearing from everyone is that we are a unique community, and that doesn't mean we get less. Unique could be viewed as different and challenging, or that we're very special, and we are. And we need our fair share. And this is a small bite out of that pie of our fair share, but there's more that we need throughout the peninsula. Senator Sanders said it best: ferry, train, bridges. We need that access so we can get to great jobs and off this peninsula for different opportunities. And I said this last time, as a younger person born and raised on this peninsula, now raising my family, the opportunity for us is, oh, the places we shall go, which is what Dr. Seuss said. And we want every person that's moving this community by choice, wanting to live here in the greatest district in all of the city, to have those opportunities to succeed and have the best life. Education, job, visiting family, but not an obstacle. So again, I'm proud to be here. Thank you for your support to the President Chair, but most importantly to my colleagues in government, that we never stop moving forward. You know, driving that train, we'll never stop moving forward to our constituents have what they deserve, which is a fair and open opportunity and affordable transit opportunities. Thank you again. Honored to be here with you. Yay, Far Rockaway ticket. Woo!
Thank you so much to you, Chairman Lieber, and to the MTA, the Long Island Railroad President, and to my colleagues who have fought so long and hard for this victory today. It is so amazing to be here because just 7 short years ago, when I worked for this gentleman, we stood right here in front of this train station and said that we have to put an end to the madness. The fact that we have a train station here in the Long Island Railroad that takes you into the city, that takes you into Brooklyn, but does not have the same fare as everyone else, was a challenge and was quite frustrating, to no avail. And so I'm glad that we're announcing the expansion of our own ticket, the Far Rockaway ticket, not city ticket or the Far Rockaway ticket, because not only does it symbolize how special and important this community is, but it also allows us to put attention to the transportation issues that this community faces. And so when Chairman Lieber says that the legislature, including myself, was harassing and very fervent on this issue, it's because we live it. Fervent, there we go. Fervent on this issue is because we live it. Living in this community for the nearly 20 years that I've lived here, it's so important to acknowledge the transportation woes that we've experienced, and this is part of doing that. This is getting Far Rockaway to the rest of the city more affordably and quicker. Everyone knows a railroad runs quicker than the A train. That's just the reality. That's just the reality. A reality that we can change. We will change. We'll work together on that. But the thousands of residents who are here in these buildings and are arriving in these buildings will be able to have more transportation options. Now, lastly, I would have to say that we would not be here had it not been for residents who continue the fire and the fight. If you ever walk through the peninsula our folks always have a bevy of issues that they're super passionate about. But I want to give a special shout out to Jaden from Queens Defenders, who pulled me aside last week and mentioned to me how important it is for us to be able to get from point A to point B. And she says, what are you doing, Assembly Member, to help us get from point A to point B quicker in the Rockaways? And I says to her, I'm pushing the MTA. I'm doing my job as a state legislator to make sure that we push the MTA to do more and to do better. And so, yes, this might be 20 years plus coming. But there is so much more that we have to work towards. That includes making our A trains more rapid, 6 to 8 minute headways. We're going to hopefully get that done, and we're going to partner on that because that's something that all Rockaway residents will be happy about. But also a proposal that I have that I've shared with the MTA about creating a Q22 rush service, which would get residents of the Rockaways to JFK Airport quicker. And that is a challenge that we also have here in this community that we can push through and we can win on. And I thank both of you all for being here, helping us make history. The fight is not over. We have some next steps that I just shared, and I'm looking forward to the journey ahead.
Thank you so much to the chairman, to the colleagues that have fought so diligently through this entire effort. I'm Deputy Borough President Ebony Young, here in representation of Donovan Richards. Most importantly today, we are here for the people. The people that stand here every day when time is of essence, when economics is failing them. We are here every day for the people. The last time I checked, this community was a part of New York City, just like Jamaica, just like downtown Brooklyn, just like Midtown Manhattan. Far Rockaway is New York City. But the question me and my colleagues have been asking for years is, why does Far Rockaway residents have to pay more to take the LIRR than any other New Yorker? Why are they charged more to get to work, to get to school, to access health, and otherwise enjoy the city they call home? They've always deserved equitable access to the rest of the city on the LIRR, but never had it. It was unjust, it was wrong, and it was an example of systemic racism in transit. But today, all of that changes. Thanks to the advocacy of the folks here today and the ingenuity of those who were willing to cut through the bureaucratic red tape, we finally have our own Far Rockaway ticket. That means Far Rockaway residents are finally done with paying almost twice as much for an LIRR ride within the 5 boroughs than anyone else. And by taking the LIRR, Far Rockaway residents can get to Midtown Manhattan during rush hour in less than 1 hour. That's exactly what we should have been doing all along, making the most timely travel option more affordable to everyone in this community. This is a fundamental fairness at work and is a sign we understand that all city residents should be treated equitably without regard to zip code or socioeconomic status. Our city is the city of opportunity in every sense of the word, but its opportunities are made possible only if our residents can afford the transportation they need to get to them. We still have a long way to go in making such access a reality for all, especially with much of Queens still existing in a transit desert. But today is one of celebration, as we encourage Far Rockaway residents to take advantage of the cheaper LIRR fares that the Far Rockaway ticket makes possible. So many congratulations goes out to all those who helped make the Far Rockaway ticket happen. Let's continue to work together to increase the accessibility of public transportation for all of our communities. Thank you.
Celebration continues with a question from Tom Negevin, celebrating the 75th anniversary of Eyewitness News.
Well, thank you, Tim. We appreciate that, and we certainly appreciate all the enthusiasm here today. Just a couple of quick questions for Chairman Lieber, if I might impose, and you can delegate them if you like. But we're very interested in sort of the impediment posed to this for many years by not being able to properly track the patterns of passengers, their transit patterns, if you will, and embracing sort of creatively new technologies like geolocation. Can you talk about the role that played here?
Well, the problem is not that complicated. It's that this line, you're in the city of New York right now, but before you get back to the city of New York, you leave and you go to Nassau County and Long Island. So the concern was, and again, this is past administrations, we've overcome it, but the concern was that people who live in Long Island who are not eligible for this particular discount would buy a city ticket because they were on the same line. And but what we've done to overcome it is now we can use geolocation technology to make sure that only folks who live in Far Rockaway, the real crew from this community, are actually using this ticket. That's what we figured out using high-tech expertise, and that's why we're here to celebrate putting aside this historic inequality.
It's amazing. It's a brave new world. One more quick question for you, Jono, if I might. Things are changing again on Sunday. 20 trips going away, among others. Yeah. That's about a 20% reduction, as I recall, for folks who use it. We realized that was meant to be sort of a pandemic offering or a pandemic solution to keep people riding. What will the dissolution of that do financially for the MTA?
Well, listen, the bottom line is, as part of the solution, the governor and the legislature attacked the problem of the MTA's budget deficit, which was in excess of $1 billion, and they solved it. But part of the solution was a restoration of the small fare increases that we have always done, about 2% a year, 4% every 2 years. In order to hit that number, we needed to eliminate some of the promotional fares that we started just at the beginning of, during COVID. This was one of them. But the good news is, for most Long Island Railroad riders, the folks who buy monthlies, it's still cheaper than it was before COVID. We prioritize the great majority of Long Island Railroad riders who are buying monthlies and using the more traditional fare products. And something had to give, and it was this 20 ticket, which actually had a much smaller user group.
Hi, Chairman. You've been through a lot of these fare increases, probably first as a rider. Does it ever frustrate you?
I'm a New York City kid. I remember the 20-cent fare, my friend.
Does it ever?
Does anybody else?
Yeah. I think I was at $2.50 or so.
Yeah, 20 cents. 1970, baby. Went to 30 cents. That was a fare increase.
I know.
50%. That's a fare increase, dude.
Does it ever frustrate you that even now, with all of the kind of selling and the benefits and the tickets that are available, that people still say, oh, the MTA, why do they need a fare increase?
Listen, the bottom line is we are going back to what has been a very successful pattern since way back in 2010. Former Lieutenant Governor Ravitch, who just passed away, put in motion the principle that rather than having massive fare increases whenever the MTA hits a financial wall, we should have incremental and predictable 2% a year fare increases. We're going back to that. That's predictable for our riders, and it's a small bite. I don't know about you, but everything in the world has gotten a lot more expensive than 2% a year. The MTA is a pretty good bargain compared to the cost of owning an automobile and driving in this city.
Did you make a point to kind of make sure that people know about the benefits and the changes? I mean, was that kind of a change in your approach to selling this, making sure there were discounts, making sure people knew about the work that was being done?
Listen, we always struggle to get through. Everybody's so busy, but the bottom line is transit in New York. We're investing in transit because it's all about equity. It's the 90% of people who go to jobs in Midtown and other parts of the city and use transit but don't drive. It's about equity because it's the one thing that makes New York affordable is transit. If you don't have to own an automobile, which is at least 10 grand a year all in, there's one thing that makes New York affordable, and we want to make it more affordable. We're going to continue to spread the word about what transit does for equity.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Sorry you have to listen to when they poke at me, but that's the way it's going to be. That's the way it's going to be.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.